I saw Zebec's partner achieve this, which was actually a crack in this thing, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and it's nothing really even positive about the price of ZBCN because it's clearly not doing the best, and I'll talk about that later. But I first want to talk about this real quick, right? Because Zebec recently had a partnership with something called Alio, and Alio just recently got listed on Kraken. Now, people may be thinking, like, why does that matter? Because, personally, in my perspective, if something that Zebec partners with has more exposure, has more notoriety, has better listings, in some cases maybe, I think that right there could also maybe indirectly cause some attention when it comes to Zebec, because usually when a project becomes very popular, people take a look back and they take a look at, for instance, what has the project partnered up with, right? Who are their partners, generally speaking, and all this. So I think this right here could maybe do something when it comes to Zebec in terms of having more notoriety, but we'll have to wait and see because this is clearly not during an altcoin season and things are having a pullback. And this is actually a segue for me to kind of talk about the hypothetical price when it comes to ZBCN and just what I think about it so far. But again, I just want to clarify, I'm not telling anyone to do anything and nothing I say is financial advice. But here's the thing. ZBCN currently around 38.5 times lower than 10 cents. Having a pullback, the thing is, it's almost 40 times lower than 10 cents as of right now, basically. But nonetheless, okay, sure, it may not be looking the best as of right now. But one thing that I do want to do is personally stick with what I've been doing throughout this time, because especially when a project is being ignored, or generally speaking, when the sentiment isn't doing the best, that's a time for me that I want to be very focused on it. I actually want to increase my focus because if a project that I still like fundamentally is having a pullback and attention is leaving, I want to focus more. This is just my mindset. Because personally for me, my takeaway is that, okay, sure, years ago, being focused on Ethereum, it wasn't really that cool or interesting, right? But the ones that focus on Ethereum back then, we're talking about many, many years ago, even despite the pullback as of right now, when it comes to Ethereum, I just highly doubt a lot of them are even complaining at all. Just because they believed back then, right? But back then, the popularity is nowhere near as of right now. But the thing is, I sometimes take a look back at lessons from history. And I just take a look at, okay, if a project is fundamentally pretty okay, sometimes I just want to be focused on it when a lot of people are ignoring it. This is my point of view. However, people like to tell me, well, ZBCN has no future. They say it's done. They say it's cooked, basically. But I don't necessarily have that mindset because if a project has an aspect of Solana, and here's the thing, Zebec's not a meme, right? We've seen historically some memes do very well when it comes to Solana, but we just haven't really seen these type of utility-driven projects that have a Solana vibe really do okay. We just haven't really seen that in a mainstream type of way, right? And Zebec, literally, we take a look at not too long ago, ZBCN was even top 10 in terms of utility when it comes to Solana. So what happens if there's a narrative when it comes to utility-driven projects that have an aspect of Solana? Maybe one day. Zebec's just one of the few that's there, hypothetically. And if there's not that many options to begin with, yet there's attention for a particular space, the attention's not going to be spread out as much, right? Because there just simply isn't that many options to begin with. So I do like that positioning when it comes to Zebec, but we'll wait and see. However, also on top of that as well, Zebec has an aspect of ISO 20022. And XDC has an aspect of that, Stellar has an aspect of that, so suddenly what? ZBCN is going to be forgotten about randomly? Keep in mind, it's arguably the number 4 project as of right now in terms of popularity when it comes to global trade and finance within this space. That's just randomly going to be forgotten about because the space overall is having a pullback, generally speaking? I highly doubt that in my mind, but we'll wait and see. Because it's like the 4th most popular. So it's just randomly going to be forgotten about? Again, I just have a hard time thinking about that because it would be different if, let's say, ZBCN was like the 30th most popular, the 40th or something like that. But it's literally like the 4th, right? So I just haven't given up personally. And really, okay, sure, things are having a pullback, but when I take a look at 10 cents, market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 9.8 billion. Like some people are thinking that's like so bearish when it comes to something like ZBCN, let's just say around 6 months ago, 7 months ago. That would have been considered a little bit bearish, but as of right now, it's suddenly considered such a ridiculous amount. But I have not forgotten about those days, because when a lot of people were thinking that 10 cents was kind of bearish, that was not even during an altcoin season. That was just like randomly ZBCN having a pretty okay rally. That was kind of it, but it was not an altcoin season, generally speaking. So this is why I have not forgotten about that. I'm just going to wait. That's it. Now, I can't do anything, right? I can't control any of this, but what I can do, I think, is control myself. I'm just going to stick with what I've been doing. I've been holding, waiting, and I've been dollar cost averaging once a month throughout this whole time, and that's what I'm going to continue to do because I personally know that by me doing that, the mindset isn't days, weeks, months. It's going to have to be years, personally for me. Just by me dollar cost averaging once a month by default, that's just going to have to be the timeline and the horizon I'm thinking about. But personally, I'm not going to give up. This is my mindset. I'm just going to wait it out. I'll see what happens, but I'm still going to be dollar cost averaging once a month, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye. It's Lee the Captain.